Welcome to Halas Hall Report, live every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Live talking Chicago Bears football with Mike the Bear Fan. And your host, Ken Dobb. Also on the panel, we have the football analyst, Woody, who was named for the Woody wrap-up on game days. Next on the panel, we have Bear Down Mike. He is the youngest, but don't be fooled. This guy knows this Bear squad. He can bring a different insight. Halas Hall Report breaks down the Chicago Bears team all year long, from the offseason through the draft. Also, the legend of tailgating, Billy Defense Flores, joins the crew live at 1st and 10 tailgating. You can find him at all home games at Soldiers Field. Also, the Bear Fan, who has been here since the first year of Halas Hall Report, welcome Bear Fan Dan, where he is known for studs and duds after every game. You can find them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Roku if you have a TV. They are all over social media. You won't find no better sources for Chicago Bears news like injury reports, team updates for breaking news for all the good and the bad the team does. Halas Hall Report will be live for the 6th season. And they are teaming up with the best sports podcast out on social media.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Super Bowl Sunday, last day of the NFL season. Good morning. Welcome to Halas Hall Report pregame edition. We got, of course, the normal cast of characters, Woody, Dan, Mike, and Mike. Good morning, gentlemen.
So,
really only one thing to talk about today. Right there. It's game day, baby. Niners, Chiefs, Super Bowl Sunday, a rematch of a couple years ago. All the little byline stories. You know what's been interesting about this Super Bowl build-up the last 2 weeks? I don't remember coming to a Super Bowl where the interviews during like media time, where they spent so much time asking players on the Super Bowl teams about stuff going on with other players on other teams. Have you guys noticed that?
Yep.
You know, they're asking Patrick Mahomes about Caleb Williams and Fields, and they're asking Kittle about what the Bears should do. And well, there was a Packer reporter, of course, asked Kittle to never join the Bears, which he laughed at. But there's been a lot of talk, you know, in media week about the Bears and a couple other teams, Belichick, and I've never, you know, usually it's about the teams in the Super Bowl. This has been a weird Super Bowl in that respect that the players have been asked questions about not their team and not the matchup. Just kind of interesting as we come into this game. You know, as everyone tries to get themselves one of these. Yes, Detroit, you still don't have one. Sorry. Vikings, yeah, same story. This is where you get one, a day like today. I know you've never been there.
Well,
maybe one day.
You know, the Vikings have been there 4 times.
Yeah, but they've never brought one home.
Right.
Yeah. The same old Lions, they still can't get past the NFC Championship. They've never managed to do that. They've been there, what, twice, the NFC Championship? You know, you got to get yourself one of these guys. That's what today's all about, or as Aaron Donald would say, right? So, Woody, what do you think about the game coming up today? What's your take on today's game?
As you see in my caption, Taylor Swift will lose today. I already made my bet. Niners are favored by 2 only. I think they're going to win by 10 points. I picked them. $1,000 coming my way.
Okay, so Dan, we got some money line there. Dan, how about you? What's your pick for the day?
I'm going with San Francisco. The way I look at it is there's a team that's never been in it or it has been in a long time. Yeah, they were just both in there 4 years ago, but I'm going for San Francisco because I want to see McCaffrey win and, you know, Brock Purdy being Mr. Irrelevant just a couple of years ago, see him win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know, Bear Down Mike, that's a great story, right? For Mr. Irrelevant to Super Bowl, I mean, you know, we can probably at a later date get into how all the draft hype and everything really doesn't matter when you get a guy like Brock Purdy, who's, okay, it's a 1 in 1,000 kind of guy, 1 in a million kind of guy when that happens. But it's an interesting byline story, isn't it?
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant coming to beat potentially the GOAT of the NFL. You know, It's a great story. I got 49ers for the win. I got them winning by a touchdown. I think they got the better weapons and the better defense. So I'm going for them. Plus, I'm sick of seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Is that the first time that would ever happen, Mr. Irrelevant winning a Super Bowl?
As a starting quarterback, yes, I would think so as a starting quarterback. But there have been other Mr. Irrelevants that have done well in the league. Now, whether they've won a ring or not, I'm not sure. We'd have to look that one up, do a little research on that.
Mikey, can you look that up on your computer, Mikey, please?
Look it up now.
There we go. So while Dan's looking that up, Mike, the table's been set. Where are you at for today's game?
Well, this is Mahomes' fourth time there. He was there once before his first time, and I think it's going to go San Fran, honestly. I think they got the better team overall. They kind of went all in on like trading and stuff like that to do that. Kansas City's been struggling. Yeah, they've been playing real well in the playoffs, but their season didn't look too hot. They struggled, didn't look good. So I'm going with the Niners, 31-28.
See, Mike, that haircut made you smarter, bud.
You noticed. I like it. You actually noticed? Thanks, buddy.
No, I didn't. Oh, you got your face trimmed. Oh, I thought you got your. Oh, okay. Those
that
three
too.
hairs on your head caught. But
So the whole panel.
The thing I'm worried about is I'm wondering what San Fran team will show up, because remember, they lost 3 in a row earlier this year. So hopefully they don't they come in strong today. Chase Young addition, but he's been non-existent. But McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle. This is a repeat of 4 years ago. San Fran's got to pull this out for me today.
And they do have injuries too. They got the wide receiver Tooney. He's not playing. I seen it this morning. They're a little beat up on the offensive line.
So I'll go ahead and give my pick. I'll be the last to do so. And of course, I'm going to go with the Niners too. So the whole panel is going with the Niners. For me, partly, it's I want to see Kittle get it. Big Bears fan that he is. I loved his response this week to the Packers reporter when asked, please don't go to Chicago. And he kind of laughed it off. And I don't know if he'd ever come to Chicago or we'd ever want him to come to Chicago by the time he'd be able or willing to make that move. But I just like Kittle. CMC deserves it. Dude's been a workhorse. The Mr. Irrelevant story is a good one. It's good for the NFL. It's good for young kids to say, hey, look, you can be the last guy in the draft and still go to win a Super Bowl. I mean, there's a lot of positives for the Niners winning. I mean, the Chiefs, they bring the sideshow. They bring Taylor Swift. They bring probably the funniest guy in football right now, Kelsey. Jason Kelsey being there, he's always going to be a blast. They bring the sideshow. The Niners bring football. The talk about the Niners is football. Talk about KC is Kelsey's brother going to be there. Is Taylor going to be there? KC's got a good football team. Don't get me wrong. They got a really good defense. Unsung heroes of that team is their defense. I just don't know if you can stop all the weapons. And on the big football show this morning, they were talking about this as well, was, the weapons. Debo goes down, you got CMC. If you can't get the CMC, you've got Kittle. They've got all these weapons that Kansas City really has to deal with. And even with that good defense they have, I think it's going to be tough. If San Francisco can establish a run game early, I think it spells a lot of trouble for KC throughout the entire game. And it'll be nice.
Plus, the other thing, because Mike said about Tony and their offensive line, Taylor Swift did a concert last night in Tokyo. So she has to fly all the way to Vegas. She's going to be tired, and that's going to hurt the Chiefs today.
She's going to be sleeping.
Well, the other thing about the game being in Vegas, I give home field advantage to the Niners on that, because it's Vegas, so it's division rivals with KC. Any Raiders fans that have tickets, do you think they're going to cheer for KC? No, they hate KC, and it's closer proximity to Cali, so I would think it's going to be a very San Francisco centric crowd versus KC.
You know what, Ken? You know who else will probably be there? Jimmy G. Watch.
Oh, yeah.
Garoppolo. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we got to root for Deshaun Gibson, former Bear, one of their safeties on 49ers. So good luck to them.
Yep.
Brock Purdy's the first Mr. Relevant quarterback
Nice.
to play in the Super Bowl.
I mean, but have there been other Mr. Irrelevants though that have made it to a Super Bowl at other positions?
The field goal kicker for the I think it's the Buccaneers suck up.
Yeah.
Ryan Suckup, yep.
And then there was another one. Moore with the Patriots.
Okay, so a couple guys have been Mr. Relevant have made a Super Bowl, and Suckup, of course, won his ring. And it's funny though, the kicker, because most kickers aren't drafted, right? They're signed undrafted free agents. Very rarely do we even see these guys get drafted, but another Mr. Relevant. And it's always a good story. In fact, that'd be something else maybe to look at later too, is when you think about it, you got the Mr. Relevant and you get the undrafted free agents, and you get guys like Thielen, undrafted free agent. Look at the career he's had. I'm sure there's a couple of those guys out there. So it's a good storyline. You've got Brock Purdy, who's like one of the lowest paid guys in the league, right? Mm-hmm. Versus the highest paid player in the league. That's always a good byline. Yeah. Is the money mean wins?
He still lives with his parents.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good little storylines for this game. And then of course tomorrow we'll start seeing the movement as the NFL season ends tonight. We'll start seeing movement because teams probably, I'm sure there's some decisions have already been made for coaching positions. Some players are going to be cut, but teams tend to hold off till after tonight's game. So this next week, we should start seeing some movement, guys.
Is Kadarius Toney not playing today?
Yeah, he's not playing. He was ruled out this morning.
Wow. Dude, that's just gotta suck.
But they got MVS though, so watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's just gotta suck as a player, man. Like you go through the whole season, you battle it, you grind it, come to the payoff. Sorry, man, you're out. Your knee's bumped. It's like, that's just gotta suck.
You got to stop Pachenko too. He's a strong runner. I had him in all my fantasy leagues this year, so it's going to be Pachenko and of course Kelsey. Slow them down, it's all over.
They got the other young receiver that Mahomes started to find towards the end of the season.
Rice.
Rashid Rice.
Rice, yeah, Rashid Rice. I mean, you got to watch him too. I mean, look, it's not to say KC doesn't have weapons. I just think San Francisco has more. And you got Bosa and Young on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully Young has a good game, and I'm sure we'll be talking about him in the weeks to come. Depending on what San Francisco does in their offseason, because Young is a free agent after today. After today's game, he'll be entering free agency. Will San Francisco let him hit the open market, or will he end up in Chicago? I'm sure he'll be talked about with Chicago as well as like guys like Daniil Hunter, and of course some trade possibilities. Big news out of Philly this morning. Philly's making one of their big pass rushers available for trade. So that'll be an interesting discussion to have too as we start getting into the offseason on Monday. But today's big game, it's funny because some of the networks just started their pregame. I mean, God, 7 hours of pregame for one game is kind of, I don't know, to me a little overkill. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the commercials, as always. I mean,
DJ Moore's commercial.
Yeah, I want to see these Paramount Plus ones. So they've been leaking a few of them on YouTube. And the one with Patrick Stewart and Tua Tagovailoa is just freaking hilarious. It's got Drew Barrymore Creeds in it. I mean, it was just funny as hell. So this is one of those days I look forward to the game and the commercials. You know what I mean?
I do miss the Bud Bowl though, man. They should bring that back.
No,
Mike, that's before your time though, that Bud Bowl.
Chase Young, could we say, is it fair enough to say this is an audition? You're on the biggest stage for Young for other teams if Niners decide to move on from him. Absolutely. I would think it is. So he's got to produce this game.
I'd say yes and no. I think if you read some of the reports, some people are saying, oh, well, he's been sloughing it in San Francisco, blah, blah, blah. I don't necessarily buy into that. I mean, it's always hard when you come into a system mid-season. He got a call. I think he had 2 or 3 sacks. He didn't have many. But yeah, I don't know if it's a make or break for him being in San Francisco. But it's still adding to that pie.
If Montez Sweat can do it, Chase Young should be able to do it. He got Nick Bosa on the other side. I don't want to hear excuses from that.
Yeah, I think our system is more comparable to what Washington ran than what San Francisco's running. But yeah, I mean, he should have done better with Bosa. It's a good argument you're making. With Bosa on the other side, you're thinking, well, he should have had 5 or 6 sacks too.
Bosa isn't Hargrave over there too.
Yeah, and Fred
that should have been that he should have had a lot more sacks than
Fred Warner should be their spy too on Mahomes. He's a good hell of a linebacker.
Yeah, Chase Young, I think it's a little bit of an audition, but I think most of the tape and the books kind of somewhat written on him. He can change the narrative today for sure, though. If he comes out today and nabs Mahomes 2 or 3 times, I mean, that completely changes the narrative on Chase Young, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, he'll be an interesting decision post today. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in Kansas City. Look, I mean, it's not like everyone in Kansas City is guaranteed to come back. They got some guys who might hit the open market, some line guys, especially on the offensive side. We were talking last night, the Bears are going to be spending this offseason, and we're going to clear 12, 13, 14 million just on Bojack being gone. We can clear another 9 or 10 million, getting rid of Whitehair. I mean, so the Bears really have around 70, 80 million, maybe more they can spend because, if they really want to spend, you can restructure the hell out of stuff. So there are some guys in today's game we could see in a Bears uniform next year. You gotta love Super Bowl. We got a case. Okay, no, that's a Packers fan. Go
I don't think.
No, hey Robert.
I don't like that adjective whooping. It won't be a whooping.
Hey, good to see you as always, Robert. Yeah, I agree with Woody. I don't know about the ass whooping. However, I mean, look, we've seen some Super Bowls that we thought were pretty even-handed, and teams just come in. And I remember that the Raiders-Bucs Super Bowl. I thought, at that time the Raiders were like hot, and the Bucs just destroyed them. So, could something like that happen today?
Possibly.
If San Francisco's all over them from the jump, they could. If KC gets all over the Niners, even though the Niners have shown a little more resiliency throughout the season in those kinds of games than KC's had to show, it'd be interesting to see, though.
I mean, Detroit should have beat them. So yeah. Detroit jumped on them early as well. But I'm thinking with all the weapons Detroit has and the running game they have, I think Detroit overall is a better team than Kansas City. So that's why I'm thinking San Francisco is going to win by at least 10.
Well, Detroit, same old Lions, get a big league in a big game and blow it. They're celebrating Dan Campbell going for all the 4th downs and how great of a football team they are.
It's Dan Gamble.
Dan Gamble.
Dan Gamble has a big ego.
They need to change Detroit from the Lions to the Gamblers. Remember, they had J-Mo got busted for gambling before the season. They had a betting scandal last year in the offseason. I mean, the Lions should just change their name, or they should move to Vegas. That's where they belong, right? They belong in a casino. I mean, Jesus. But yeah, the Lions, I don't know if it was much of them choking or maybe a combination of them choking in San Francisco coming back and showing that resiliency. KC, though, has KC really had to be that resilient this year? I mean,
no, they weren't that good. They were actually like mediocre in the beginning of the year. They're up and down, but just they got hot at the end of the year, and there they are.
I mean, they destroyed Baltimore, a team that we all thought was on another planet.
Yep.
So they said, that's the thing with they destroyed Baltimore, man. They made Baltimore look silly.
Yeah. Matt Nagy's gonna be looking for another head coaching job in the near future.
Well, it won't be this year.
No, it won't be this
It won't
year.
be this year.
Next year, maybe. I mean, I remember I was making fun of him early in the season because Mahomes looked terrible. And
Yeah, Robert.
Now I'm eating my words.
Robert's got a good take, or initial take here. He's talking about if Casey gets up, there's no way the Niners come back on that defense.
Yeah.
And
That's
Casey's
exactly what I was going to say.
Casey gets up like Detroit did, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
And I think if somehow Kansas City pulls it out, I think Andy Reid retires.
You think?
Man, I hope not. I love his commercial.
He's good. Yeah, he's a hell of a coach. But I'm thinking if he wins another one, I'm thinking he's retiring.
All right, so let's look at this. Let's go with another way out there prediction. We'll do one for each team. Woody, give me the MVP of the game, one for each team. For if KC wins, who's going to be their MVP? If the Niners win, who's going to be their MVP?
Well, of course, I think if Chiefs win, it's going to be Mahomes, be the MVP. If Niners win and it's passing, I could see them giving it to Brock Purdy. If it's a running game, of course, McCaffrey. But I'm going to pull it out and say I think Debo is going to be MVP this Super Bowl.
Wow. Okay, Dan, how about you?
I'm going to agree with Mahomes, but with the 49ers, I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey.
All right, Mike, Bear fan. Mike, the Bear fan.
I'm gonna go a different way. I'm gonna go.
Bear down, Mike. Upstairs.
If KC, I'm gonna go with Travis Kelce.
Okay.
And for 49ers, I'm gonna give it to Brandon Ayuk.
All right, Ayuk. Okay. How about Mike, the Bear fan? What about you?
Well, obviously, there ain't very many people that could get it on KC. I mean, I'm gonna say Mahomes.
Nope, can't.
But I'm gonna go with San Fran. I'm gonna go with the Bear fan. I'm gonna say Kittle.
All right, I'll go with Kelce because Kelce, he's been the guy for them. Without him, they're not here. In the AFC Championship game, some of the catches he made, that's the reason they win that game like they did. And then of course, you tie with his brother being there and his girlfriend, who everyone knows who she is. It's just one of those things. I think he plays better when she's there. If you look at the games where she wasn't there, he was almost non-existent. I think he probably would have a bit, win or lose, he'll have a good game for Kansas City. Win, he'll probably be the touchdown that wins it, or the play that gets him there. If it's Brock Purdy's too great of a story, right, to win Mr. Irrelevant to Super Bowl MVP, I don't see how he doesn't. But CMC is a great candidate as well, and Kittle. I mean, hey, why not be tight end you? I mean, if one of the tight ends wins it, oh my God, tight end you is a whole new thing next year. But Kittle, man, he's like Kelce. You need a big play. Kittle's a guy who opens up that game for you. So, yeah, I could see Kittle too, but Purdy's a better story. He's definitely a better story. And, of course, we'll be inundated, of course, this year, the Super Bowl, probably with the MVB ads. My question is if Purdy wins, does State Farm try to sign him so they can have him and Mahomes do commercials together next year?
I really don't care.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what though, as having watching advertising with players for years, we've been devoid of good athletes in commercials, and I'll be honest, I've been enjoying the Patrick Mahomes State Farm commercials with Andy Reid. Andy Reid is just freaking brilliant. But if you think about Peyton Manning, before him, his commercials were pretty dry, and then before them it was the Jordan era. We had Jordan Barkley. Pro athlete commercials have kind of sucked for a while. So I'll give Mahomes some credit. His commercials are at least pretty good.
My favorite pro athlete commercial was the Damian Lillard, Kevin Love as the family. Chris Paul's the husband. DeAndre Jordan's the wife. And Kevin Love is dancing on the car, fucking dropping dimes on the car.
I like that. I like that commercial where they had all the Super Bowl commercial. They're all sitting down eating in a dining area, and there's a football there, and it falls down on the ground, and all these athletes,
The 100th
Hall of
anniversary
Famers
commercial.
jumping all over the place, and they had everybody.
That was the NFL 100th anniversary commercial. That is still an all-time great commercial.
Yep.
With Marshawn, it's Marshawn Lynch trying to reach back and get some of the cake. Yeah, hey, there you go. Robert's got it. Fumble. And, that was a great commercial.
Yep.
That is just always a good one. And it's, it'll be interesting to see if the NFL does something commercial wise. I'm looking forward to commercials as much as the game, which is sad. The last couple of years, I'll say this: the game and the commercials have been a little disappointing. So hopefully this year we get a good game and we get some good commercials. Let us know in the comments what you're looking for. If you got a favorite commercial, what you think the game is going to be. It's Super Bowl Sunday. It's no Bears, but we get right back into Bears talk this next week. This is the one time of year where we really don't just talk about the Bears. It's a football holiday. It's where everyone's just picks a team and rolls with it if your team's not there. Packer fans and Bear fans will unite in some cases. Sometimes, though, you'll get a Bear fan will take, I'm going to go with 49ers. The Packer fan, that means I have to take KC. Some of that happens, too. I think Bill, the Packer fan, I think he took the Niners today, too.
I believe so.
If I remember that correctly. So, yeah. Which is interesting considering how much the Niners have beaten them. And Robbie Gould, of course. They got the new kicker. He did. Okay. So Robert, though, is taking KC. So he's our lone KC guy today. Hey, that's cool. There's always got to be at least one. There's got to be one. So, guys, big game here starts at what? Is it 6:30 or 7:30 Central? I can't remember.
6:32. 6:36. That's what it was.
Oh yeah, and then we got the elongated halftime show, which Usher. Okay.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It can't be worse than Bruno Mars.
Or The Weeknd.
Oh yeah. We just need another Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction.
I don't know if Bear Down Mike remembers that one.
Which one? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction.
The Justin Timberlake Janet Jackson one? Oh, with that wardrobe malfunction?
Yeah.
I remember that.
You remember that? Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, gone are the days when you get a guy like Prince or the Rolling Stones or those types of people on there. Rihanna wasn't bad last year. It wasn't good. It wasn't
She was
great.
pregnant.
She was pregnant.
That's fine. But Usher, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, actually, you know what, though? The one in L.A. with Dre and Snoop and everyone, that was actually a pretty good one.
That was good. Subtract Eminem. That was great.
That was great. I like that one.
Yeah, that was actually one of the better ones recently. But they got to do something with these halftime shows. They're just Can we see Metallica? Can we see Metallica do or something like that do a halftime show? I mean, some good rock band. We haven't had a rock band, I think, at halftime since.
Or was it the Rolling Stones?
The Stones, maybe, yeah. So, well, hey guys, we're coming up on our half-hour show talking about the Super Bowl. The panel overwhelmingly is picking the Niners, so Bear Down Country is saying 49ers will carry the day. Enjoy the game, enjoy the commercials. Be back here next Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. the East Coast, Facebook, YouTube, Roku, Northeast Streaming Sports page, etc. Next Sunday, we will be back. Next Sunday at 11:30, we will be doing Saturday and Sunday all year round. Hopefully, we'll have some good football Bears talk with the season ending today, and now we start getting into the fun stuff, the off season, the NFL hot stove, if you will. Enjoy the game tonight for the panel, everyone here. Bear down. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Be safe, everyone.
Bear down.
Bear down.